This is spacious, believe me. If you haven't been ultralight sort of camping, this is like a family tent size. We'll see in a minute though. Well, I often see, and I've watched a lot of great tarp pitch videos where I think about 99% of what I've seen has been for 9x9 or 10x10 tarps, something square, 3 meters, and that seems to be standard. And this is a 9x12 and a pretty economical tarp from Canadian Tire, Woods branded. I think it's under 40 bucks. Seems to do the job. I've added some Velcro and stuff, but what I want to try is a pitch that I saw on square tarps that I want to try and do on a rectangle tarp. So what I'm going to start with is staking out that corner and that corner over there, and I think this corner over here. And then I'm going to fold this over. What we're going to try to make is a self-contained tarp pitch with a bottom, and that's going to be pretty big because that's a pretty big tarp. And I find if you're looking for budget tarps and you just want to play around with this, another good Canadian Tire product, and these guys aren't paying me, and I'm sure you can get these anywhere, is they have these light duty green tarps. They usually go on sale for $5 or $6, or four bucks, and I think 5 or 6 is the normal price. So if you're just going for a polyurethane tarp, it would do the job to learn how to do it. Now I don't know the practical sort of use of a tarp in Canada right now camping with youth, and I do that because of all the ticks that are around. Other than using, like when I've pitched on the ground, and I did that just recently just to practice doing that. I usually like my hammock. I just took my hammock bug net and ran a pole from say here to here on a smaller, my hammock fly is a little shorter, and stuffed my sleeping pad inside, and there goes a rabbit or a cat or something just by me in my backyard. Anyway, I just ran the line and hung my bug net for my hammock on some poles, put a tarp over, and then put my pad inside, and that worked. This is like tarp origami folding stuff. Usually like to start with square paper, got a rectangle like an 8.5 by 11, pretty close to a 9 by 12 if you want to try it on paper. So I've got 3 corners staked. Typically I'm flying this in the air, so I find the bungee helps keep the tension and reduces some of the stresses on the tarp. You could pin those in the eye hole, but those stakes that I'm using, pretty heavy stakes, nice and easy to see them so I don't trip on them. I have sight issues, so it just makes it easier for me so I don't lose them. Those little short stakes that are aluminum or metal, I push them in and sometimes things have got unhooked and then I lose track and I'm fumbling around, I can't feel them anymore. So I don't know how many stakes I've left in campsites, but that's it so far. I should have pitched it over more, but it'll give us the idea. I'm going to take this piece and fold it over and try and use that sort of as a door, kind of as a roof, and this flipped over this way. We'll see how it goes. You'll see it all in a second here. Lots of extra material here, and I'll play with it. I'm not sure how I'm going to stake it down. I'm just going to play around with it here now while I'm talking to you. Probably going to have to like throw a rock in the corner here to put a tie-out point that's not there, but really get a trekking pole and get this triangle thing going, and then when you want it open, get my foot in there. I know it's hard to do. I will do that. I can swing that open like a porch, or this side even. But really, I feel like if you can kind of see, this is actually probably a 2-person pitch, and unless you open the door more, but it will give you full cover in there. It's not the most efficient use of the space, but it's kind of, you know, if you have the 9 by 12, it's going to be a pretty cozy pitch and get you a little water resistance. So I would pitch this opening away from the wind, but if you tie it down with a couple tie downs, it'd be okay. You could tie this up to a tree if you wanted, or you know, suspend it. I'm going to use the pole like I said. I think tension is going to be the key, and I can actually fashion, if I don't have enough tie outs, some tie outs by throwing a rock inside of the material where my say thumb is and wrap some string around it, and that give you a good anchor point. But I think it's going to be a good size. Like, it's going to be a 9-foot length. Now you can't use the whole corner, but you can shove some gear in there, and it's going to be about 6 feet wide. So definitely you could get 2 people that know each other well, or yourself and a dog, or maybe 3 smaller kids. And I think you could backpack with this and make a decent shelter if you want to try it. And you just have to figure out, you know, what's your bug solution for that. And I use a variety of chemicals that I mix into my homemade waterproofing, like pyrethrin. And some people don't like that, but I'm not expecting to put a lot of skin touch on this often, and hoping that reduces some of the tick bug issue, along with some DEET and I think it's bicardin that I've mixed in there with my silicone treatment on this. So I turn this polyester into instead of a sil nylon, polyester nylon tarp, and so far seems to do the trick. But we'll pitch this in a second with the pole, you'll see. Size of this, even before I'm finished, that's going to be almost 6 feet up there. So standing room, going to end up with a covered bottom, which is great, and that's at least 6 feet. I'm going to pull out the end there to get you some more room. So you get a vestibule with, and you could have a pretty big porch if you want to fly that out. I'm going to stake those corners down here and here, and yeah, this can operate all kinds of possible ways as a doorway, and in the daytime you could flip that over. I think I'm going to tie some kind of an anchor here, and might even use that tie down there to pull this out over here. Throw another stake down here by putting a rock and pulling this out, but grabbing this, and actually get yourself some more headroom in there if you want. So a 9x12 is kind of massive even when you're not using the material efficiently, and if you got that pointed away from the wind coming up here should be okay. But if it's hitting from the other side, it's going to be, you're going to really need to stake that down, and possibly I would maybe run 2 tie-ups, or if you have a pool handy in your camp area, tie it out to the pool, get some good rigidity. But honestly, I think that's bigger than I need, and in fact, if I were to use this, I would probably use a smaller pole and kind of choke up on the material and bring it back here so it's lower down, because for 1 or 2 people, oh, this is spacious. Believe me, if you haven't been ultralight sort of camping, this is like a family tent size. We'll see in a minute though. I've got a bit of a slip thing going on here, a loop. I find a rock, so I didn't find a small one. Go for a smaller one, go for something smooth. You don't want to puncture holes in your tarp. I'm just putting this around the material here, I'll show you in a second. Just cinch it up. So it ain't pretty. It's like that red-green guy says, if you're not pretty, at least you can be handy. And I pull that out and just give me a bit of tension on here. So I'm not going to drive it in all the way. I want to make sure at least around a 30-45 degree angle. Pulls that out a bit, but my next trick is going to be probably tying off to a stick to pull this up a bit and then retension that area. And we should be good to go here. We'll see. Kinds of weird things you can do, and that might not seem like much, but when you're in there, so we'll get in there. I haven't staked this corner out, but I would if I needed to close the door. I'd actually just bring it down to the stake that's over here, and if I wanted it closed closer, I'd just change the slack on this. But probably could throw a rope in here with a rock and tie it down fairly well. I mean, you're going to be totally weather resistant, I would think, and I can definitely close that up more if I need to, or pull this in more, which we might try. You get inside here with me, and we might, adjust the floor if we needed to. We could pull it out, we could stake it down, we could untie this. I get in here, and I'm 6'2", 285 pounds, a pretty big guy. I got room. There's room for a smaller person, definitely in my gear. And I think, yeah, I would probably lower that top pole a bit. And then once you start to tension things and pin them down, just because it's so big, I might pin that down. If you did want full cover or need it, you'd definitely get a second, possibly a third person in here, depending on your size. With that pull out, so now I'm kneeling up. That gives me some headroom there, and I think I killed my phone standing up, but I'm now standing up inside here, and because it's up 6 feet, it was fine. But I would I have all these tie-outs I can keep using. I've slacked some of the tension there to let it go in more. Tie that down there, bring this across here. I think I would put the tie-out point, we'd lower it couple of inches so that this goes flush with the ground. So maybe 8 or 10 inches there. Bring that in, and yeah, I'd probably throw a rock here and make a tie out onto this post so that this is sort of opening. And I would even only, because I have it staked, open it halfway. You get a great door, but if you want some room, go for it. I'm bringing this off here. I'm going to readjust it and show you. Tweaking, you can do all kinds of things. I think I would throw another tie out here if I wanted to really get extra room and tighten that up. I can adjust this some more this way if I need to. Definitely get it closed down further if I want. I just pull that in more. That's pretty easy. Pull that stake out and latch them both to it. I can throw another tie down here. I don't actually need that bottom tie out, I don't think. I think the top one's going to be more important, or throwing one on the other side. Keep it spread out. But I think it's all about tension on this. And no, I think that could work with the 9x12. So there's one 9x12 pitch. Well, I don't know what you want to call it. I think I saw it on a website called the Jordy or something, and you can actually play with the pitch. I've seen this, people do this on other things where they bring the pole out to the middle and get a triangle shape. You can do all kinds of things, but it is roomy on a 9x12. Definitely 2 people. 3 if you didn't care about the ground or you had another ground sheet. You can really bring it out, fit people around. Really 2 in their gear, lots of room. And even to the point where if you had it up 6 feet like I did, you could have tensioned it down a bit and slack that off to fit better, and stand up and change if you want, or even have this open if you want to have a fly open and sit there on some kind of bushcraft or camp chair. I mean, you get a massive pitch this way. Sorry, I'm just not sure how else to show this. So there we go. I think we'll work with that, and it actually doesn't take that long. Really, you want at least 4 stakes if you're going to do something weird with pullouts and tie-outs. More is better. And on a bigger tarp, probably in the in-between points is not bad. Remember, this has to be away from the wind, and this side's pretty flat. So if it was windy, I'd actually move the pole to the middle and probably do one of those sort of wrap-around tie-outs, and then have the pole in the middle. That way I've got an angle on each side. But if it's not too bad out, or you have some cover on one side, lots of trees, this is going to work. You don't even need a pole. You could be tying this up to a rope in a tree. In fact, you could have 2 poles and get that V shape a little easier, whatever you want. I could even lower this if I only have a trekking pole and my trekking pole doesn't go that high. So there you go.